Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today we are solving Leetcode question 9, that is palindrome number. So you might probably know what the palindrome actually is. So let's start the question. Given an integer x, so we have an integer x, so return true if x is a palindrome and false otherwise. If x is a palindrome, so we have to return true, otherwise we have to return false. So actually what the palindrome is, an integer is a palindrome when it reads the same forward and backward. So, if you will, so the bruteful solution that comes in our mind, that is, if we are going to convert this int into string, and then if you will apply two-pointer approach, that is left or right, and comparing both the numbers, so it is getting very easy to determine this number is palindrome or not. So the tricky point is down here. If you will read below that follow-up point, that could you solve it without converting the integer into a string? So here come a tricky part, that we don't have to convert this integer into a string. You have to deal this with integer itself. So how are we going to do that? So basically what we are going to do is applying math operations. So we know that a number is a palindrome if we are going to reverse this number. Like if I'm going to reverse this number, I get the same number, that is 1, 2, 1. So yes, it is a palindrome. So the question is that how we are going to reverse this number. So we know that we are going to take the last digit, then to the second last, and then to the third last numbers. And this is how we do the reverse. So how we get the last digit number? So we know that if I'm going to divide this number, for example, by 10, and if I'm going to see the remainder, so basically I get the remainder that is equals to the last digit. Okay, let me make you more clear. If I'm going to divide this number by 10, so if I'm taking 10 and this number, so if I'm going to divide this number by 10, so you'll see here I'm getting the last digit, and that is 1. Okay, so our next problem is that how to get the second last digit. So for that we have to get rid of this last digit, that is 1. So how we crop this digit, how we crop this number actually. So what we are going to do here, if I'm going to take this number and do the division by 10. So if I'm going to divide this number by 10, so basically I get answer something like this, that is 12.1. So if I'm going to do the float division by 10, so we are not going to take this decimal part. Actually, we are getting the integer part only. So I'm getting here 12 only. Okay, so this is my last digit, and now I'm getting 12. So next step, what we are going to do, we are going to repeat this every single time. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm taking this 12 and doing modulo by 10. So I basically get the last digit, and that is 2. And if you will see here, I'm getting the right answer, that is 1, then 2. Okay, I get the 1, I get the 2. And what we have to do here, I get the 2, and then we have to do the float division by 10. I know it's getting so much mess, but focus on concept, that if I'm going to do by 10, so I get 1. So now do the same thing, that 1 modulo 10. So I get the last digit going to be my 1. So this is my last digit. So if you will see, I get 1, and then I get 2, and then I get 1. So this is how we get the integer. So now the main problem is that how we are going to put this integer, that is 1, into its 100th position, and this 2 into this 10th position. So what we are going to do here, actually, I'm going to take a variable r that is equals to 0, and I'm going to update this r every single time. That is r equals to r into 10. I'm going to do this number multiply by 10, and every time I'm going to add the last digit. That is, initially I get last digit 1, so I'm going to add 1 over here. So now my r is updated to, I know that r is initially 0, so 0 into 10 is 0 plus 1, so my r is 1. So we are doing the same thing for the second last digit. So I'm doing the same thing, that is r equals to r into 10 plus last digit. So what is my last digit? My second last digit is 2, right? So I'm going to take here 2. So I know my r is already been updated, that is 1. So 1 into 10 is 10 plus 2 is 12. So now my r is updated to 12. And we are doing the same thing for the third last integer, that is r equals to, again we are doing the same thing actually, r into, actually it is, I do the subtraction part. Okay, r into 10 plus our last digit, and now our last digit is 1, right? So I get 1. So here we have to write 1. So r is actually, we know that r is already updated to 12, so we are going to write here 12 into 10, that is 120, plus 1 is 121. So this is how we get the reverse form of that particular integer. And now at the end, we are going to check that whether this number is equals to its original number or not. If it is equals to its original number, so we have to return true, otherwise we'll go with false. Okay, let's see the code. So and also I want to mention one more point over here, that if the integer is negative, so you probably know that negative number is not the palindrome. Why? Because if you're going to reverse this number, so you're getting something like this, which is definitely not equals to this, their original form. So this thing we have to so we have to be mentioned this point also. So this is basically our edge point. So let's write out first of all the edge point. That is, if my integer, that is x, is going to be less than 0, then that time I have to return false, right? Okay, now, so basically what I'm doing, I'm going to make a variable, that is n, and n is also pointing the same value what the x is pointing. So let's make a result that is going to be initially 0, and we're going to take that number. Okay, we're going to start with a while loop. While my x greater than 0, until my x is greater than 0, all you need to do, you have to find the last digit, right? So we know the last digit, how we're going to find the last digit. Okay, so last digit equals to, that is result into 10. And also okay, no, last digit is actually not like this. Last digit is n modulo 10, right? So if we will divide this number by 10, so we get the remainder, and that remainder is equals to the last digit of that specific number. So now what we are going to do, we are going to updating our result. Okay, so result equals to, that is result into 10, and every single time we are going to add the last digit, right? And last but not the least, we have to crop that last digit of that number. So how are we going to do that? We have to divide, we have to do the flow division by 10. Okay, so by doing this, it will going to crop the last digit of that specific number or integer. And at the end, we have to check that whether my result equals to x. If it is equals to x, so we get true, otherwise we get false. All right, so let's revise it again, that if the integer is less than x, that is negative, so we get false. And now we're taking result until my number is greater than 0. We are taking the last digit and adding last digit and updating our result. And at the end, cropping the last digit from x. That is our integer, right? And at the end, we are checking that whether submit this code. All right, it is submitted, and here we done this question.